Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Grant Cameron, and I have a super special panel today, very unique panel. It was 2 weeks ago yesterday that I and a bunch of people were at an event in Franklin Grove, Illinois, and some stuff happened. And that's why we're having the panel today. I've found through my experience, I've written 3 books on events that happened. 2 of them are at Mount Shasta, and I realized that when you get into contact events, a lot of people aren't talking to each other, and that at some point you figure out something is going on and you realize it's time to start recording, that somebody may be wanting to tell a story. So that's what happened in this event. And we've had some, Sinead Willahan and I had an event where we tracked down 3 of 9 witnesses at Mount Shasta who were holding hands at 2 o'clock in the morning, were levitated into the air by a couple of hundred beings. We went after the story, we got a little bit of it, but that story has faded away to where nobody really knows whether that story actually happened. That's the problem that I see in terms of not recording it. So what happened was 2 weeks ago yesterday, we were at an event, which I'm going to allow Deb Fruit to explain in a minute. And we were at a CE-5 event, and I've been to a lot of CE-5s. I'm very not impressed with CE-5s. I would rather do other stuff. I was there and really nothing was happening. And there had been a couple of events that had happened over this weekend, but it was at one point during the CE-5 event that Marcel Vidovic said, "I feel some energy in the circle. Does anybody else feel it?" And somebody on my side of the circle said, "Yeah, there's a lot of energy here." And things started to happen. And people started to come forward with photographs. And I realized it's time to start talking to people. And I went to Jeff and a bunch of other people. And I asked them, "Have you filmed something?" And people got it. And that's when I saw the radio start to interact. And Marcel will get into that. These little radios, one of the 3 radios started to chatter. And I actually went up to Marcel and I said, "Marcel, this could actually turn into a book," because I realized a lot of stuff was starting to happen. And it was incumbent upon me to try as much as I could to get this recorded. So I talked to Deb Frew, who is I'm going to introduce in a second. And I said to Deb, "Can you get a panel together of all these people who are in this circle, and let's record what actually happened?" And we have over a dozen people here, a dozen people. A lot of people got a lot of stuff. And that's what this is all about. It's you to hear the stories, including what I hope will be last. Deb thought maybe people wouldn't make it to the end of this broadcast. I would say definitely stay till the end of the broadcast, because Marcel is going to show a video, which I say is one of the most paranormal UFO videos I have ever seen in my life. It just blew me away when I saw it. So we'll do that at the end to keep people here. But let me now introduce Deb Frew, who ran this event, because this was not a UFO event. This was completely something different. This was the first time they'd brought UFO people in. So welcome, Deb, and tell us what this event was. You've run it for a number of years. Give us a little bit of history. And how did this UFO thing get tied in? And maybe explain who the people are that come to your conference, because they're not UFO people. You're muted.
Thanks, Grant. Sorry about that. It's true. UFO people have never been invited to our group. This group is called the Worldwide Metaphysical Tribe. This was our 9th year. This is something that kind of organized itself about 9 years ago. And I just grabbed the reins and said, yeah, let's make this into something that people want to attend every year. And as the years went by, the event grew. It was always a weekend with one day of speakers, and it was just kind of a hangout weekend at the inn where you are currently positioned in front of in your background. Anyway, we are a group of metaphysicians. We have myriad contact modalities. We all reach the same place using different tools. And at the time that I started doing this, we were just, not respected in society. And so I sort of did this so that we could have each other's back, learn from each other, and have friends. then it started to change. And this year, instead of one solid day of speakers, we did 4 days in a row. We had a movie, we had 2 days of speakers, and then we had a goodbye breakfast. And the reason that I asked Grant to come, and then Kim and Marcel, and then Jeff Lorkey, is because I began to see the light about consciousness, and that our contact modalities were taking us all to this place of unfettered consciousness. And I looked at the UFO community and said, you know, they're kind of where we were a few years ago, we the metaphysicians. And people still laugh and joke about them, even though there's more acceptance now and mainstream media is talking about it. There's still a lot of stigma for both our groups. And I thought, you know, if we join forces, if we welcome each other, if we listen to each other, we actually can grow this movement even more quickly. And so that was the reason for inviting Grant, Sinead, Kim, Marcel, and Jeff this year. And they did an amazing job. So Marcel was going to show us some pictures of the tribe. I don't know if we're set to go on that.
I am set to go. I'm going to have to share my screen at this point in time.
Okay, Sinead, we might need a, there we go. So here we are at the circle. Kim is sanctifying the circle for that night. And you can run through these kind of quick, Marcel. We don't have to talk about all of them. And this is just pictures of where we were, just the Garden of Eden in the middle of North Central Illinois. This actually was our 3rd or 4th year here. And it's called the Lincoln Way Inn. Worth your time to make the trip. So some of the people that are here today are also in these photos. As you can see, we did have a good turnout, and I think all the speakers were so inspirational. Our Friday group talked about business and some unusual metaphysical businesses, and also we had a business coach. So that's just so you can get a flavor of what the Worldwide Metaphysical Tribe looks like every year. And I am going to pass it on to Marcel and Kim to tell us about the CE-5 that you set us up for and your experience with doing that.
Well, thanks, Deb. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here, and actually the opportunity to be at the Metaphysical Tribe event. Never been to one of those before. It was really fascinating and a profound personal experience for me. I met some incredible people. As far as just a quick summary, what we were asked to do is to speak about CE-5, what the protocols are, and some of our experiences in the past. And that's what we did. So we did a 2-hour presentation, presented some of the historical events for CE-5, some of our personal experiences, and shared some photographs and some videos. And then we also went into some of the training protocols so we can prep people for that evening. Usually this is about a 2 to 3 hour training program that we normally do, but we limited because of our time constraints to just a very short period of time in the daytime. So that evening we can go under the stars and do the CE-5 protocol. And that's basically what we did. And I'm just going to really quickly, and I'll let Kim respond as well, just show you well, basically we form a circle under the stars, and the pictures that I'm going to show you are of the circle, and I can let Kim share her thoughts regarding what we did as well. So this is the circle. You saw the original photo of the, believe it or not, there were 33 chairs set up there. I don't know if anybody realized that. But this is the evening photo of the circle. And we all meditated under the stars, and this was the daytime photo. I'll let Kim continue.
Can you guys hear me right now? Marcel, can you hear me?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Before we all gathered in the evening together in circle, I felt the need to go out there and do some clearing work. And so I set it up and I sat with it in a feeling state, and I grabbed my drum and I began to say a prayer for assistance in that clearing process. And I called in the 4 directions and called in the ancestors to come and support our time together. I have found personally that this part of the process is really, really important, so that when we come in, we're already in an activated state. We find that we're able to have a better, clear, more concise contact. There's less discoherence in the energy of the space. And so I worked with the drum and I was going around in a circle. So that was the preparation piece that I like to offer before we gather. But everybody in the group was so excited and activated and coherent with each other. There's so much joy and laughter and fun just stepping in. We were already bonded as a group after having been together for a few days. And so it felt to me like, even, just sitting down and doing the guided meditation and offering the singing bowl, the energy was already vibing really high, and people were taking photographs, and all kinds of beautiful anomalies were showing up. And it was only accelerating that upward spiral of energy and joy and excitement, which we find is something that really brings that contact in even closer.
If I could add as well, normally when we do a CE-5 training, it takes quite some time to get people to come together in a coherent state of mind. But because of the group we were with, that happened almost immediately. I've never experienced anything like this in the past, where we're in a group setting, starting the meditation component to put us in that unbounded state of mind. It might take, half hour, 40 minutes, an hour, hour and a half. It's really difficult sometimes, depending on the dynamics of the group, to get everybody together. It happened within minutes here. I mean, within a short period of time, people started already having, taking pictures of anomalous things that were happening, a lot of energy in the center of the circle and around us. It was almost instantaneous. If I can add that, it was just an incredible setting with an incredible group of people that really, everyone here contributed to the experience that we had that evening. And I'm very grateful to have had the opportunity to be there.
Well, I'd like to say that go ahead, Kim.
Normally when we have a gathering, we look for a space that is away from a busy road or a highway with car traffic. We don't want light pollution. We want to keep the cars away from the field site. There's all these requirements that we're actually looking for to create the right environment for this to happen. And I have to tell you, Deb, in spite of the train going through and the cars going by on occasion and the headlights going off in the truck, we had all these it didn't matter. We were in such a place of joy and coherence that none of that mattered anymore. It bared no significance on our experience. And that is, we're learning as we go. We're experiencers having an experience, and every time it's uniquely different, but that was really telling. Yeah.
Well, I would like to not keep people in suspense anymore. And Marcel, you can call off each of the photographers who took pictures and go ahead and open their folder. And then that person should unmute themselves and go ahead and tell what you took photographs of.
Perfect. This is Diane. So Diane, I'm going to let you go first. I'm going to start sharing my screen. so we can see your incredible photographs.
There's a little spot on the, yes, thank you. Is that a fairy? I like to think it is.
It looks like a fairy to me.
Uh-huh,
All
very
right.
cute. Nice size orb next to Melinda, and then also a little fairy up in the tree. Yep,
Orb here and orb here and here, as well as this large one here as well.
yeah.
I would like to mention that these pictures were taken the day before we did the circle. And she also has a folder full of circle pictures. So
This is one of my favorite pictures. It's like, I was gonna take a picture of Deb, but there's an orb photo bombing right in the front on the right.
It's
There on the
just,
right edge.
and what's fascinating about that, Diane, is the camera usually will take a solid object that it thinks is what you want to take the picture of, and will focus on that. Obviously, it didn't focus on Deb, but it did focus on this, on that orb
Yeah.
here, which was actually quite fascinating.
Yeah, fun. And there's a very blue orb up above Linda there, and then one right in front of her, and a couple more I see up by the tree.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, big one over Jayla, and one on Alex's shirt. Alex, the orbs liked Alex. Yep, couple right there by Alex, and then there's one on Rita. She's giving a reading to Victoria, way to the
Oh, yeah.
left. And then there's a green one up above that, up above the Rita.
Oh, yep, right here.
Yep, right there.
Amazing.
Yeah. Oh, there's just orbs all over the place. Again, there's an orange one over Alex's head, I think is the one that's in focus. Yeah,
Another one here.
yep, and that one, very vibrant. That's a beautiful one. And
Amazing.
on Kim.
And another one down here.
Oh, yeah, mm-hmm. Oh, another photo bomb to the left, yeah. There's a little fairy sitting on a branch. I actually took that from the picture you're gonna see next. See him sitting up there on the tree branch up above. Yeah, there we go. And then there's a big one over Alex and Kim.
Whoop. That one.
Yep. Yep.
This is amazing right there.
Yeah, I love that one.
Let me see if I can zoom in on that a little bit, because this is just an incredible high resolution.
Yeah, I just
Or
have a
well-
cheapy little camera, so
That's just
not a
amazing.
high speed. Yeah, I love it.
That is absolutely amazing. You can see the wing structure and something in the center. And it's just an amazing picture. Never seen
Yeah.
anything like that.
No, me either. Not quite like that.
I do believe that was the last one, and I believe you have one. Let me just double check that. Oh, nope, my apologies. So we have from here to here. So there's another couple.
Oh, I like that one. There's that blue one over Linda again. That one was fun. Caitlin wanted to, I asked her to call in anyone that she loves, and she said she loved these, I don't know the name, Arcturians? Does that sound familiar? Little green men?
Arcturians are usually tall, bluish, from my understanding.
She named two of them. I have no clue what the other ones were. But then we got those 2 orbs right next to her, so it was fun. There's one following her around. Yep.
Here.
A couple of them. Yep.
This is amazing right here, right above.
Yeah.
Was she doing a reading? Do you know at that point in time here? Was Jeff, was
Oh,
that?
you have to ask Jeff.
No, we were just chatting. I didn't know what I didn't know about this photo.
Okay, there's more, 2 very large orbs, it appears like.
And one by Jeff's head, I think.
Yeah, right there. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. There, and there. Okay, I'm going to go to your second folder, which I'm going to show later. So let's just grab these. You like to have these fairy shots here, but this is really not in this picture.
Oh.
You have this. You
Yeah, that was just looking up at the sky. This one, I don't know what this is. It's right in the center of our group.
It's hard to say. I thought maybe it could be people's cell phones, iPads. It's really difficult to say. There's so much going on in this picture.
Yeah,
It's very difficult. It's an enigma.
I've never taken a picture like that before, so. Oh, there's a couple of orbs.
And you got a big orb right here.
Yeah.
And another one here.
One in the grass.
One
Yeah.
here. Yeah. Okay, I think that is it
Yeah.
for you, Diane. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
You're welcome. Jean, you're up next. Oh, Jean is not here, right? So this is very interesting. Could it be some type of lens flare from some of the iPhones that were present? I can't tell. These are perfect vertical images that are in different locations. Usually a lens flare is going to be at an angle of the light source, but these appear to be in, kind of random order. So I am not sure what these are. I thought that was a very intriguing photograph. Can everyone see from your side of the Zoom? Are these pretty visible? Yes, okay. Again, some type of blue or a greenish lights or some type of light source. Have no idea what this is. It could be movement, but usually when you have movement of the camera, it's just a single line. This is like a V shape, so very unusual photograph. This is a tough one because it looks like an orb, yet you have the moon there, and it's kind of at an angle of what a lens flare would look like. Lens flare seems to also radiate more outward light. This is concentrated. Again, unknown. If I were to say what, if you ask me from my experience what this is, I would probably attribute it to a lens flare. However, there is some structure within that lens flare that someone could say is an orb. Same thing here. And this is interesting. The check mark. I have no idea what this is. If anybody has any feeling on this or can recognize this, if you could let us know, that would be great. I have no idea what this is. And there's another shot of it. Okay. Deb, these are yours.
All right. This this particular shot, which one do we have?
We have,
Oh, this one you have to blow up.
yep, I'm going to.
I couldn't see anything going on. And I was just pointing and shooting my iPhone into the sky. And there was this little dot of light on the display on the final photo. So I blew it up and there's this barbell shaped thing. It's definitely not a star. We have no clue. But that's how it looked on my camera, is that tiny, teeny little dot. And I blew it up. And then this one was on the ground. Now, this is kind of weird. I just shot the ground. And although it looks like this light is on an angle, this is actually not tilted. The camera was not tilted. Nothing was tilted. This light was actually tilted on its own. The ground was flat beneath it. And again, it was a tiny little dot of light on my display. And I, expanded the shot. And this is what there was. I couldn't even believe it, but that's what I got.
Catherine.
Yeah, so I was actually shooting with Jeff just back and towards the trees in the cemetery. And that night I didn't I didn't see anything. But the next day when I went back through all my photos again, this is one that popped up where there's those 4 green lines on there and different, sizes and types. So not really sure what those may be, but found it quite interesting.
I lightened that up because it was so intriguing to see those 4 rods there. And let me see if I can. So you can see the background. And again, I'm trying to discern what the light source is. And this is the lightened picture. You can see the background of the cemetery. I cannot make out what this is here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. And then here you see, yep, that one there. And then that big one that's up in the sky. So not sure what those were either, but some kind of interesting photos that came through later on.
Thank you. Kathy has got 2, which are very interesting.
Yeah, this I was just shooting towards the graveyard because the moon was so bright. And I just took a picture towards the darkness and I looked at it and there was like a little light way in the corner. So I know we weren't supposed to zoom in, but I zoomed in and I saved. And so that's what it was.
What does that look like to you?
Somebody's face.
Yeah, was there anybody there that resembled?
No, that was like a teeny little light in the corner of my picture, just directed at the graveyard.
But it looks like an older woman to me.
Yeah.
Okay, fascinating, especially from the point in which you shot the photograph.
Yeah, that was like teeny little thing way in the corner. And right before I started shooting, we were meditating and I felt the presence of something run between me and the person next to me. Like I didn't hear it, but it seemed like something 2.5 feet tall went between us into the circle.
Okay.
And then at the end, when we're kind of showing each other's pictures, a friend of mine, Laura, was next to me and she goes, "Whoa, what was that?" And she saw like a white mist go out of the circle between our chairs. But she didn't get any pictures.
Oh, sorry.
That one, I don't know. It's just.
Is this the same one as what appears to be the older woman, or is this a different?
No, it's a different one. That was the next picture I took.
Okay.
But you can see kind of the treetops. So it was like up high.
Okay. Oh, so this is not ground level. This is up high.
That's up high.
Okay. Thank you. Intriguing. Okay, Linda is next. And we have a video. Is Linda here?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh,
This,
oh, there you are, Linda. Hi.
yeah, this particular photo was taken by my daughter on my phone because her battery had gone out. So it was a rod-shaped UFO, and we just didn't know what it was, but it ended up being a different color, as you'll probably see with the other photos.
And I think the only other one that I had is this video from you, Linda.
Oh, okay. Maybe it just didn't show up in color. This is a photo that I had taken. Now, prior to me capturing this photo, I attempted to connect my consciousness with a UFO, and I remember distinctively speaking on the inner, asking something to show up that I would certainly know that it existed. And this is what showed up. And it sort of danced and it performed, and it was just unbelievable how it was maneuvering around.
And you had direct communication with it.
Well, I attempted direct communication with some outer source out there.
Okay.
I evidently I made contact, and the photo showed up because prior to this, I wasn't getting anything.
Do you recall if that was early on, or was that towards the latter part of the evening when we were in the circle?
It was the latter part of the evening when we were.
Okay. Okay, that's fascinating. Okay, because we had a lot of activity towards the latter part.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Linda. That's fascinating.
Thank
Melinda, oh, did we want to do that one later?
Okay, so I want to share just a little bit of context to set it up because I think it's important. I've always gotten orbs and in videos and pictures, and I didn't know what they were. So I was very intently focused on listening to Jeff's presentation and also Marcel's and Kimberly's presentation. And when I approached the field that night, I could feel the energy already, even though we hadn't even begun. And I am someone that can feel energy even from like animals and spiders and stuff. So it just kind of varies. So I thought that was all very interesting. And then Kimberly had asked if anyone was willing to go around in sage as part of the clearing. And I was standing there and I volunteered because also when I sage, I can also feel if there's bad energy. So I was like, you know, I'll gladly do that. So when I walked around the whole circle, I did not feel any bad energy. Everything was love and happiness and purity. And it was just such an amazing feeling. So what I wanted to do before we got started, so all of my pictures are before we got started actually, is I wanted to just kind of test some affirmations and see if I got anything more. So here's some orbs from when I was just kind of testing, you know, we love you, we're all good people, and I'm not afraid personally, so I just didn't have any fear, which I think is also something that Marcel or Kimberly or Jeff had spoken about too. So I just kind of was like sending love out there, and then I saw the purple rod, which was really cool. And I didn't know what a rod was until I saw Jeff's presentation. So that's a kudos to him.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And that was before we really got started. This was just in the pre-piece, really me just kind of playing around with what I learned from the presentations.
Was this up in the air or is this tree line behind it? I can't.
It was about like 10 to 20 feet off the ground, you know, kind of like a mid-range, I'd say. So it wasn't super high, but it wasn't like on the ground.
Okay.
And then I saw all this activity in these trees. And two, in my opinion, look like fairies. One to the left, similar to what Diane had taken pictures of. And then kind of the one in the middle looks like kind of a cherubim fairy, to me at least.
And so this is a different shot.
Yeah, this is a different shot because there's in the middle, to me, it looks like a woman with a ponytail. She kind of looked like J-Lo. So I was like, oh, is that like a woman's face? Kind of, yeah, closer to where your cursor just was.
Okay.
But yeah, just some more activity. So that was a different shot, like a different angle, maybe a couple minutes later or something.
And any inclination as to this light source here? That's a pretty bright light.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if anyone else has ever seen anything similar.
We had a picture taken in Mount Shasta by Jeff Sell, which is very similar to this. It came in, it was a craft that came in and it did it was a triangular light form, very similar to this, whether it's a portal or a craft phasing in into this dimension, I don't know, but this has some similarities to that photo. And I think that's it. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want to talk about this one?
I think we're saving that to the end
Okay.
because that does have a story to it.
Yep. Okay,
But we can
then
save that
thank
later.
you. Then
Yeah,
Rita is next.
So a lot of these pictures, I mean, you have to really go in. But I did capture a lot. I really was just taking my phone and just going in different directions. But I would say that some of these orbs, some of these shots that I took were pretty amazing. Like you could see in the left-hand corner above the tree line.
Me here?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what the light source is here in the cemetery?
That's something I captured. It was pitch black. There's
Yeah.
also an orb right in there too. So those were coming off of the grave sites. You could see an orb right above. There's another photo on a grave site where there's a green anomaly on it. But this was before we actually got started. I was taking photographs of the cemetery.
Okay. In 1 second, let's see where I'm stuck here. Okay.
But even you could see in the background at the site of the graves, there were no light. I've got a pretty good camera on my phone and it was picking up the energy coming off of the graves.
So the 2 light sources here and another one here.
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. There's my green anomaly right there,
So this
which
is
was amazing.
now this is really interesting because I think the next photograph doesn't show anything on that.
No, it doesn't.
And
So
again,
that was awesome.
yeah, you still have your little light sources in the back.
Yeah. And it was pitch black. There were no lights on. There was no cars driving. There was nobody in the parking lots. So it was literally pitch black. And the same thing.
Same thing here. All
Yeah.
these light sources. So with the naked eye, you weren't seeing anything?
No, nothing, which was awesome. So I would take a few shots and then I would pull them up on my camera so I can see it. So it was pretty exciting for me to do it.
Wow. Okay. And what's this?
I believe there was like a sun setting, but there was something to the right. Ground cover, it's up, it's like a red, a little bit lower to the right.
Lower or to the right
It's like
here?
ground level here, more to the edge of the photo. Up higher towards the right there. I think we lost it.
You can't see it?
No, I can't see it now.
Oh,
I think because the pictures are everybody's faces are in the way.
oh, I moved it on mine. Apparently
Oh.
it's not moving it on that one. Okay.
But you can see where it's like red. And then of course, yeah. Do you see it?
This one here, yeah.
Yeah.
And what is this? What is this? Is this a light source from a house here?
I believe that's the sun setting or the moon coming up.
Okay. So, okay.
I'm not sure exactly.
Okay.
But then of course you've got the orb right there in the grass.
And this again could be an orb or it could be a lens flare because you have the moon here and it's directly in line with it. Just something to keep in mind.
Okay. And then, so a lot of the sky ones, you just have to really bring them in. There were some that you could tell where, you could tell where the stars, but then there was other shapes. I just threw a whole bunch because I couldn't really see.
Okay. Yeah, and we went through them and it was difficult to see anything.
Yeah.
Because when you see these, they all look like commas, and that's because there's a little bit of camera movement when you're taking the picture if you're not on a tripod. And the bigger ones are basically just bigger stars, but they all have the similar comma shape. So that's one thing to look at. And I believe that was the last one. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
So yeah, there was just, there was maybe an orb or so, but just the way they are shaped, almost like a round circle. Actually, if you look at the shapes of the stars or whatever, these orbs, it's almost like a round circle. So I just thought that was pretty cool. And then one right in the middle.
Yeah.
But then you can also see in the distance, again, in the graveyard, again, there's another.
This light source here.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting because it's not a phone. There's nobody there that I can tell.
Yeah.
This is just a light source emanating from the cemetery. And there it is again.
Correct. So
Now-
I caught a lot of stuff, but
Okay.
pretty
Now,
exciting.
could this be a person standing up or is this part of the
No, that's part of the cemetery.
cemetery? Okay. All right. Thank you, Rita.
Thank you.
And Victoria.
Hello. Yeah, so this was a little bit before we got started. I'm always just taking pictures of the moon. But this green here, I was not seeing it off the camera at all. This was all with my iPhone. And if you see like in the other pictures, which is all pointed at the moon, all in the same direction, but this green orb moves in each picture. And so I think this is where it started. We have this one here, and then we have the green orb there, and then there's another little orb, which I don't even think I saw that on the originally. And you start seeing the change in the shape.
And this is untouched. This smudge.
I did not touch it. That is exactly how it appeared on my phone. And so as it started coming closer to the ground, because as the pictures go, like this orb started coming closer and closer to the ground, it starts to elongate. And I think in one of them, it looks as if it's like 3 orbs. But that one's like, so like here you're looking at it, like it starts looking like it's 2 that is somewhat connected. And again, all of these are completely untouched. And yeah, so that one, now this here is it, if you zoom in.
On the ones on the ground, on the lower
On the ground, because that's the same, like I just kept taking the pictures.
Really?
And
Wow.
from this, pretty much from the same spot.
Wow.
So you see, like now it's like that one just kept elongating.
So you saw it actually moving?
Yeah, it was on my phone moving. So, but when I moved the phone away, I couldn't see anything. But every time I looked through the lens, I saw it moving.
So it starts above the moon.
Mm-hmm.
It starts coming down. Now it's below it. Wow. So that's the same light source. That's
That's
fascinating.
the same, yeah.
Huh.
And the same thing happened at the night before at the inn when we were just talking. I caught a couple of pictures from that too, but I didn't include it. And then this here, as you can see on his shirt, I kept looking back like, is he wearing a necklace or something? This is like right over Deb's head too. I kept looking to see if there was any light or anything shining, like a necklace or something, because that's what like my immediate thought was, but there was nothing but, I'm assuming, black material and that little orb.
Okay. Hey, Jeff,
Yeah.
did you have that shirt that you're wearing or that you wore that night? Did it have any emblems on that
Yeah.
left? It did have an emblem?
No. No emblems.
No emblems.
buttons,
Okay.
No buttons or anything.
Okay. Because sometimes the emblem on a shirt will, have some reflective material on it or chemicals, and it'll do that. But obviously, that's not what you had here. Interesting. I think that's it. Fascinating photos, Victoria. That's fascinating. All right, Jeff, you're up. We have to narrow you down because you get 370 some pictures.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pictures.
Well, a lot of them were from a video I took, like frame grabs from a video I took later in the night in the Pine Hill Inn where we stayed. But this was a shot that I had taken. I think it was just right behind where we were sitting, and you could sort of see a beam of sort in the middle and then the left.
Yeah.
And for some reason, a lot of my photos, I have this like in that top left section, how it's kind of like hazy. I don't know why, but in a lot of my photos, it's always like that. There's like a.
Could it be an originating source, a Zendra, a portal, or something coming in, and this is what's some of the artifacts from it, or maybe
Yeah, I think so.
Or it could be the mist. We talked about that, the mist, the orbs, and the beams, where that mist will appear in a lot of people's photographs, sometimes granular and some like what you have there. We call it a mist photograph.
Okay.
Cool. And this is one that I don't know if you have the original in there.
I don't know. We have to thin it out.
Okay.
We didn't have
this
much
one.
time.
I just all I did was like increase the exposure a little bit.
Okay.
And it's taken in the same spot as that last image. There's the obvious orb on the middle, the red one there, and then a few extras on the top left, and then a rod kind of going through.
That's fantastic.
Others. Yeah, and so this is a frame grab from later that night in the hotel. I did some filming, and these were some of the frame grabs from that video. And if you can kind of see, like, so I should, like, on my phone, what I'm shooting with, it's shooting in 60 frames per second in 4K. And so I don't know if you could see sort of like the graininess around it.
Mm-hmm.
But when I go through a lot of like my videos, that graininess is almost always there. And I kind of attribute it to that, the mist, almost like in the outdoor images, in that a lot of times, like with these indoor shots, especially, you can see not only like a bunch of faces within the rod or whatever, but also like on the outside, like around it, there's usually a lot going on as well. So it's almost as if it's like a mist there, what the phenomena is like sitting there, right? And is just revealing itself in different places more so than like things flying around, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is all we have is a screenshot of a video that you obviously had.
Yeah. Yep. And same kind of deal. This was an indoor one.
Okay.
Same deal.
Are these coming together and merging?
Yeah.
Wow. And this is afterwards, so that they cross? Oh, wow. I didn't realize that. So these are coming together, they
Yep.
merge, and then they pass each other, and wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And a
that's-
lot of it too, like I wish the video uploaded, but you know, it'll change like 7 different colors within half a second.
That's amazing.
They can, yeah, change any shape, size. They can merge together. They fly in different formations and lots of crazy stuff.
That's it. That's all we have. That's all we could do. Given our,
Yeah.
but these are amazing. Those shots, consecutive shots of that merging and passing is pretty impressive.
Thanks. I've got way crazier than that. So
Yeah, I know. We'll review them later on, and we'll be we'll be looking forward to your new website.
Sure. Thank you.
Shanae.
Hi, everybody. So, oh boy, that's really tiny.
Let me
Would
get
the other one be, there we go. Thank you, Marcel.
Welcome.
So Marcel, if you're able to open that up a little bit bigger, if you're, yeah. Everyone should be able to see the little being that's standing in front of my hand. And there's a bright light that has these kind of tendrils coming out of it on my chest. So this is actually a very, very long story because quite a great deal has happened both before, during, and after the weekend in Illinois, but I'm not going to tell the whole thing because it would take way too long. Basically what happened was a few things happened before I left to go to Illinois that at the time I didn't know were important or I didn't understand what they meant, and then now they make perfect sense. So a couple of examples of that is that I kept saying to Deb, for example, and our friend Tara, who presented at the event, I kept saying, it would be so great if something happened. You know, it would be really, really great if something happened this weekend with all the, you know, collective energy of everybody there. But what was actually happening was I was having the distinct feeling that something was going to happen, but I was editing it because I thought that I was creating an expectation and that I had made it up in my head and that I shouldn't have an expectation. So instead I was editing it to be, I hope something happens, or it would be so great if something happens, but really instinctively, I was being told that something was going to happen. On top of which, here's another example. For 2 days before I left for Illinois, literally the 2 days before I left, I kept repeatedly seeing the faces of gray aliens in the clouds in the sky. And there was one really, really huge one. There were a whole bunch of other ones. Like there was just a whole bunch of them both days in the sky. It was very overcast weather, so there was complete cloud cover. And I was completely puzzled by that because I don't have any experience that I know of with gray aliens. I've never had any particular attachment to seeing them. My experience with ETs has been with them as light beings and then communication, and they gave me my awakening and a whole bunch of other things, but I don't have a lot of, you know, particular attachment to gray aliens. So I really could not understand that. Well, what ended up happening was Marcel and Kim were doing their CE-5 presentation. All of you were there in the room with me. I was sitting in the front row of their presentation. And about an hour into it, which is interestingly at around 3 o'clock, and threes are a very big number for me, very, very big number. They show up in threes are a huge, huge pattern in my life, particularly with regard to my paranormal experiences, my psychic ability, my ESP, anything that has happened that is not normal. the threes are always there. So in any case, it was around 3 o'clock. And to make a very long story short, what happened was this being appeared to me right there during the presentation in front of the hedge that was behind the screen. It was a tall, humanoid, misty kind of being. I couldn't see any distinct features, but it was distinctly a humanoid shape: head, neck, shoulders, arms, body, legs. It was tall, and it was just standing there. And I was like, you know, I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I was so doubtful. You know, normally I know what's going on and I accept it, but I just, because I was actually seeing this, I was thinking I must be making this up. I wanted this to happen. Anyway, no, because it just stayed and stayed and stayed and stayed. And then I went through this extremely intense energy merge with this being. And I know that because it told me that. I thought it was my own thought. And then later on, I was sitting with Kim, who was there helping me through it. And she said, this isn't, she thinks, this, you know, she thought that it was an energy merge. And I thought, well, that's very interesting, because I just had that thought, or I thought that I did. I thought that I was the one that created it, you know, a few minutes ago when I was sitting there being blasted with this energy. So all of you were sitting right behind me, and I was just trying to keep my composure because the vibration was absolutely enormous. I mean, it was a similar experience in some ways, although not nearly as intense, excuse me, to my awakening in the summer of 2019. That was just on a whole other level. But this was a humongous vibration. That was also a buzzing, a tingling, and a numbness. My mouth went completely numb. My face, my lower face was numb. My arms and legs became numb, and I couldn't really see my depth perception went out the window. I couldn't really see where the floor was. I couldn't really tell where surfaces were. My eyesight, I kept kind of blinking because I thought my eyes were just losing focus. So it was really, really huge experience. And I was just sitting there trying to breathe and not, you know, look weird in front of everybody in the middle of Kim and Marcel's presentation, which I did not want to disrupt. But at one point I looked over at Kim and I was just like, there's a being over there. I mouthed it to her and she said, what? And I said, I realized I was interrupting her, and she thought, okay, I'll tell her this later. But that caught her attention. And so she kept looking over at me during her presentation. So she knew something was going on. I was kind of sitting there breathing and looking cross-eyed, you know. And so she came over near the end of the presentation and said, are you okay? And I was like, like I couldn't, you know, it was as if I'd been to the dentist. My mouth was totally numb. Tried to tell her what happened. I don't know what I said, but she seemed to understand. And so she helped me make my way over to this little gazebo that's beside the presentation area. I really couldn't see where the floor was. So it was like, where's, you know, I kept having to put my feet out kind of very carefully and then be like, okay, right, there's a floor, and then step on it. Totally buzzing, vibrating, and tingling. And then we sat in the pavilion for a while, and Kim was just sitting with me. She could also feel it. The energy was so big, she started picking it up herself. And this part is important in relation to this photograph, which was taken many hours later during the CE-5. Of course, at night, you all were there. Whereas my experience was, started at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 6 hours earlier, 6.5 hours earlier, actually. So in any case, I had closed my eyes when I was sitting there with Kim because it was so intense, and it was not negative. I was not scared. I was not tense. It was nothing like that. None of my experiences ever are. It was just big. And so I was just like working on concentrating and absorbing it, and, just letting it happen and receiving it, and doing my best to do that. And Kim was helping me. So then I closed my eyes to get a bit of relief from just sensory input, and saw all of the energy flowing from my extremities into my chest, into the middle of my chest, into my heart chakra. My heart was pounding the entire time this is going on, like from the beginning of the experience. Pounding. It was still pounding when I came here to the CE-5 circle, and this photograph was taken by Rita Owen, by the way, to whom I will be eternally grateful. Rita, I love this photograph so much. It's the only one that's ever been taken of me that has anything like this to my knowledge. So I'm so grateful. So I just want to give Rita props for taking this photograph for me. So all the energy is flowing up right into here, and it's yellow, kind of like that. To me, that looks like a goldy kind of color. And then also there's a beam of light, or there's a spot of light somewhere ahead of me that is being directly at my third eye. All of this is completely new to me. I've never had anything like this. I mean, other than the vibratory experience and that huge energy, I've never had anything like this happen before. So then Kim, it's boiling hot outside, right? So Kim helps me go inside, and I lie down on the floor of the common area where Caitlin was doing a reading for Nancy. And I just had to lie down. I could not make it upstairs. I was having such a hard time moving my body, which felt kind of like the edges of my body were blurry or something. Plus my depth perception was off. Plus I was just infused with this huge energy. So I was, it was taking a lot to just put one foot in front of the other. So I lay down, Kim stayed with me for a little while, and then I got this message that basically said, you need to be in the dark. You need to be in the dark, or something about being in the dark. So I heard that. And so I put my hands over my eyes. And when I did that, first there was one eye that winked at me, which is a theme. I've seen this eye before. And then it was 2 points of light that became 2 eyes that had expression, had intelligence, like it was the being, and its face was this close, like it was right in front of me. So the message was, you have to focus right now. We are busy. We are doing something right now, you and I, right? Like you have to focus here. It was very intense, and it was staring me right in the eyes. So I said, okay. So I realized I had to get up and leave that room, which was too bright, and there were other people, and it was a common area. Went upstairs, and the being appeared to me again. I collapsed on my bed, and I couldn't really do anything. And I kept having this very strong pull to fall asleep, but I thought, no, I can't do that. I have to stay awake and, find out what this being is trying to do, or if it needs anything, or if it wants anything. So I was trying to stay awake, and the being is standing there. And so I looked at it, and I asked it a question. I just said, can I do anything for you? Or, is there anything that you need, or is there anything you want to tell me? And then the next thing I knew, it was 2 hours later, and I was in a sleeping position. Woke up 2 hours later, 3 minutes before Grant's presentation is supposed to start. I kind of looked at my phone, and jumped up, slapped myself a little bit, and ran downstairs. And then he went through the presentation, and I was just kind of processing what had happened, which I still don't completely understand. And then after the presentation was over, I had to eat something. I was ravenously hungry, and I felt my body again. From the minute I woke up, I felt, okay, my body's here again. I can see, I know where surfaces are. Still feeling, in the experience, but not nearly as intense as before. So shoveled some food in my mouth, and then ran over to the CE-5. And I am super deaf. I have a 90% hearing loss, and I use cochlear implants. So I really rely on visual stimuli to hear, right? So I need to see people's facial expressions for context. I need to see body language for context. I need to see lip movements, as well as hearing voice. And so in the dark, especially when there's, 45 people in a circle, I really can't hear anything. So this conversation that Marcel initiated about this huge energy being the circle, I had no awareness of that conversation going on. I didn't know that people were pointing towards me, our, side of the circle. I didn't know that. I didn't know any of that. And then Rita even came over and showed us this picture, and I didn't realize that it was me. So it makes perfect sense to me that there's what looks like a tiny little gray standing next to me, and this glowing light on my chest. And since then, 5 or 6 more things have happened, but that would be a very long story. The main thing is that I am getting amazing validation. Like I cannot, deny. I mean, for example, I'm not going to talk about this very much. Sorry to take up so much time already, but I got a message from a medium who is who's in Illinois, where I was when this occurred. And I've never had any communication with her one-on-one, never had a reading with her, never communicate with her. I'm friends with her on Facebook. I know her through Deb. I was talking to Deb and Tara, and at the time that I was talking to them and about to tell Tara this story, my phone goes boo boo boo, and this message comes in from this medium in Illinois. Her name is Jenny Oster, and the message is from the beings, and it's validating my experience. It validates my sense of what happens. It reiterates what I need to do. And then they've given me more since then. They've used electronics, they've used tones. It's pretty fascinating. So I'm just trying to stay receptive and recording everything that's happening. And I'm asking for help from people like Jeff Lurkey, who is looking at the photograph for me. And we're supposed to have a conversation this week, which I'm super excited about. And then also Jimmy Blanchette, who is a guy who does really interesting work with ET communication using radios, as Marcel does. and tones and frequencies. And so I reached out to him to say, hey, I'm hearing these tones. Like, I don't know what to do with this. Can you give me some advice? So I'm getting some really amazing support, and it's quite incredible. It's quite incredible. So yeah, it's a very interesting experience so far, and I'll stop there.
Well, thank you. That is absolutely fascinating. Can you, for my sake and for other people's sake, kind of point the being out? This is you laying here, and this is the light source on your chest. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And oh, and by the way, sorry, really quick, actually, I did show this photograph because Rita sent me the original. So I showed it to a friend of mine who's a professional photographer and a skeptic and is not in this community at all. And she asked me a million questions about where that light could have come from. You know, what lights were around me? Was I using my phone? Was I wearing jewelry? What color was my sweater? She cannot find an explanation for how that light is there. And to my understanding, Jeff can't either. So sorry, Marcel, I just wanted to say that.
No, that's okay. So this is you, and this is your arm, and this is your hand here. Is this
that
correct?
Is my arm, yes.
Okay, and this is your hand here, correct?
Yes, that's my hand.
And then is this the ET being right next to it?
That is the being, yes.
This is the being, this is the head, this is the neck here, correct? And it's
Yes.
standing, it's kind of standing next to you, maybe 2.5 feet tall or 3 feet tall, something like that? Is that what I'm seeing here?
Yeah, it's a wee little guy. I mean, the one
Okay.
that showed up in front of the hedge and then in front of my bathroom door in my room, that one was tall. So then this one is short. So now I'm thinking, oh, now those different size faces in the clouds kind of made a bit of sense, you know? Yeah.
Fascinating photo, absolutely fascinating photo. If I might add, when I felt that energy, usually, and I shared it with the group during the daytime, is I can feel when they're here. It's just a really strong heart feeling that you get, and I felt it, and I was confident that we're going to have contact. I can feel that they're here. But within a few minutes, I've never experienced this before. The intensity of the energy was such that my hair was kind of standing up and I was getting goosebumps, and I could feel this. It's almost like a massive magnetic field, if you can feel one in front of you, and it was towards where you were sitting, but I had no idea that you guys were in that area. It was dark. And I kept sensing that, and it was so overwhelming. And that's why I interrupted and said, okay, by the way, is anybody feeling this? And it was pretty much right in front of you, between where I was and where you were sitting, in front of you, a few feet in front of me. It was just an intense feeling. I had no idea that all this transpired, but that's what I felt during the event.
Yeah,
Let me add
it was
one.
crazy. I mean, I definitely felt consumed by that energy for a long time afterwards. Like when I was feeling it when I was sitting there.
I picked it up.
Yeah.
Let me add one thing. Marcel, when you said, is anybody picking up energy? And someone on our side of the circle said, oh yeah, there's a lot of energy on our side. I was right beside Sinead, and I looked over and I joked with her because I knew what had happened earlier. I said, oh, they're picking you up. You're all lit up. And that's when Rita came over with the photograph. That's why I said to her, they're picking you up. You're all lit up. You're our side of the circle. They're picking it up. So, and then Rita came over with the photograph, and that's when things started to take off.
Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Marcel, why don't you show us the other picture in this folder and tell us your story, and then we'll follow that up with Melinda, because it's actually a picture of Melinda and she has another layer to the story.
Okay, this was these two. I only have those two.
Right. Well,
think
it's
Jeff-
the first one, I believe.
I think Jeff also wanted to comment on that photograph. I don't know. I just want to give him the chance to do that. Jeff, did you want to say anything about what else is in there? Because he'd already had a look at it.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say I can definitely see that like haze that I was talking about a little bit earlier, sort of all around. But also like beyond that being on the chest and like hands, I see like towards the back of the chair, there's like a red area, but also like on your side at chair level. I don't know if that's someone next to you, or is that
Are you referring?
Actually, I'm next to her, Jeff.
That is me. That is me reclining. My chair is more reclined
see.
than Grant's. So
Right.
that's me reclining there. That's my pink sweater. Yes. And that would be the back of my head as well.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
If you
And
If you
actually,
zoom
Jeff,
in
I
a
should
little,
say that this is not the original photograph. It's a close-up, so I'm not doing you any favors. It doesn't have the full background where all the
oh, that's all right.
other anomalies were, but yeah.
The
there's
black
different people
shirt,
doing
the
different
black
things.
shirt, I'm sorry. The black shirt with the white dots is me, and next to me is my husband. So
I see.
she's right in between Grant and me.
I see. I was gonna say in this area, like on the down to the right a little, I see like a bunch of different faces in it, like that gray, like going from I guess where the chair like the, I don't know if it's an arm or what, but anyway, I see a bunch of different phases like in that area. If you go up a little bit to the left and down, yeah, that whole, see how that, yeah, that whole area is where I'm seeing a bunch more faces.
There's also like a few different people who don't know each other that I've shown this photograph to, and without me saying anything to them, they all said that when you look at the original picture, which Rita took, mostly in the direction of kind of the far corner of the parking lot and the cemetery, like where those big trees were. And then this scene here that everybody is seeing is very low down in the right-hand corner of that photograph. And it's like, 15% of the photograph or something. So there's a lot of green space behind it, but a bunch of different people that I've shown this photograph to, the original photograph, they commented that the area where we're sitting there and then a bit around it is oddly blurry and pixelated, whereas everything else is in sharp relief, so that's also strange. And there's a kind of cloudiness over the area, a little like a sort of mistiness, which reminds me of what the being looked like in front of the hedge when it first showed up to me and gave me the energy blast. And then later when I was upstairs. It was a very friendly energy. It was very powerful, very supportive, very, very much like you need this, like this is for you. And, I don't know, I'm not, the words aren't really there yet because it's this vibrational kind of information. It's not actually language. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Marcel, do you have the other photo that we wanted to show for you?
Yeah, I'm just
and for Melinda?
Let's see, where did we put it? Oh yeah.
Well,
this one.
it's in Melinda's folder.
Yep.
It was, I think, the first. There you go.
Let me just see which one's better, this one or this one. Let's go to the first one. Does Melinda want to talk about this?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I haven't shared the story with anyone. So to circle back, because they coincide, is, after I did the practice and really used the tools that I learned from the previous presentations, I had this knowing that I could make something happen or that just something was going to happen. And I wasn't afraid. So I was just very like, let's see what we can make of this, right? So I remembered from the presentation, I think it was Marcel, he had crystals as one of the tools that you could bring to a CE-5. Well, I travel with crystals. So I had 3 crystals in my room. So I had brought down a quartz, a rose quartz, and an amethyst. And it was a full moon. So I'm like, oh, this is perfect. I'll put them out in front of me. And we started, and I just really felt that I needed to put the rose quartz in my right hand. And when I meditate, which is several times a day, so I think that's also important to talk about, that I'm very clear. I always have like a crystal in my hand, whatever I feel called to hold. So I did not feel called to talk about my mother giving me a hug because that's not for me. But I did feel called to talk about being friends and that we all are love and we're all really nice people and that we want to be friends. And then I started truly envisioning a little green alien in front of me and that I wanted to hug him. And my head kept overriding going, hey, can you be pink? Because I love pink. Obviously, I'm even wearing pink today. And I had the rose quartz in my head, but it kept coming back to me. No, I'm green. No, I'm green. And then I just kept over and over, like, we are all love. Please give us all hugs. We want to be friends. And I just kept repeating all of that and really feeling it. So going back to Jeff's presentation, just really feeling the love in my head, in my heart, in my soul for all of us. And I was like, you know, give all of us hugs. And then I just really felt like it was standing in front of me. And it was just this really unique experience. And I felt waves of energy a couple times, nothing like so drastic like what Sinead went through or anything, but just a couple like waves here and there. And then I ended up getting up to stretch because I was sitting up really tall because I was just tired from sitting in a chair. So I was just sitting tall. And that's when Diane came over and was like, here, I took this picture of you. And at the time, I was so flabbergasted. I was like, oh my God, I think it might have worked. Like, this is kind of wild. And I didn't know what to say to her. I just looked at the picture and then I was like, can you text it to me too? So I have it, because, you know, it was the end of the night. We knew we had to end the event and go to our rooms. So I was kind of speechless when it all went down. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to process this. I need to like grasp the fact that like I kept saying and feeling that I was giving him a hug. Like, it was just kind of like, we are friends, we are love, we love you, we want to be friends, just like over and over and over while I was holding the crystal. And then it was done. And then that was it. So just a really amazing experience. And I definitely want to give credit to the team for educating us. I think that's really important. I think it's important, the education, and that we all have this amazing gift and power within us to understand consciousness, which is something I already believed in. So when Grant gave his presentation, I already was there. So that resonated with me too. And, you know, just having a clear mind, working through triggers, and really just being open to love, like being open to receiving and accepting love. And something we had talked about earlier that I had mentioned to Marcel in the garden was, think about E.T. E.T. just has a red heart, right? And he's love. I mean, it's really all goes back to love and oneness and being clear in your mind so you can accept the oneness and the love and exude that out into the world as well. So it was just a really, really cool experience. And I hope I enlighten somebody that, yeah, that we can make these really cool things happen.
I think you enlightened all of us. Thank you. That is an incredible experience.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you guys.
You're very welcome. What's fascinating about this photograph here, I think somebody showed it to me that same evening because everyone was excited with everything that they were taking. And I looked at it and thought, wow, that's really cool, but didn't think much of it at that point in time. The next morning after breakfast, is not Kim Port, but is the other Kim here present, Deb?
No, she's not here.
She's not. During breakfast, I met Kim. What's Kim's last name?
It escapes me at the moment.
Oh, no worries, no worries. So I met Kim, very fascinating girl. And we started talking, and then we decided to go outside because it was kind of loud where we were and have like a private conversation. And we sat down, I just started asking some general questions because she was very fascinating. She's very open. She can receive a lot of information, just a powerful psychic. And she basically said, hey, there's a being, an interdimensional being that's with you all the time. I said, oh yeah, I know. I've known that. I've been told that before. And he says, yeah, he's with you right now. And actually, he wants me to tell you that he visited you guys. He visited you last night in the circle. And she wasn't, by the way, this Kim was not present at our circle. I don't even know if she knew about this picture or anything. And she says, he's telling me to tell you that he appeared next to you in a green light.
And you were by me. You were right by me.
Yes, I'm right here,
Mhm.
right here. And she's telling me this, that he appeared to me in a green light. And right then it dawned on me, the picture, my God, the green, could that be it? It just blew my mind because he wanted to let me know that he was present there and appeared in a green light.
Yeah. And it
You
could be,
Fascinating.
Marcel,
yeah, more.
Marcel, you have often said that sometimes ETs present themselves by superimposing themselves in an image. And I think that's really what happened here is Melinda was the conduit because she was in the right space to
He
receive
opened her
this,
heart.
you know. Also, I want to say that
That makes sense.
the woman who told you about the green entity is Kim Feindor, and she's the one who was in the gazebo with Jeff, and the giant orbs were around her, around the two of them. She is an amazing medium and psychic, amazing.
Quite an experience.
Yeah, very cool.
Thank you, Melinda.
Now, thank you all. This was really, really wonderful. Grant has a video we're going to show
Okay.
that he took that night.
Okay. Am I doing Grant or am I doing my video first?
Either one.
I don't have.
I would do yours last. Yours is the grand finale. I mean, nothing beats your video.
Well, you haven't seen it. How do you know?
Oh,
Well,
no,
you have got have
no.
you got the heart one?
That video. Yeah, no, let me show this first
Okay.
because I have to, I try to airdrop that to me just to, oh yeah, I did come through. Okay, give me 1 second. My apologies for not being prepared. Things kind of happened quickly the last couple of days. And I
You
was
should explain-
Ultra prepared.
Maybe you can explain what the radios are about before we go into this, because people aren't gonna know what we're talking about.
we can actually, okay. I'm gonna put this on here. Hopefully that's not gonna take too long to upload. Well, then let me just show my video first. So everyone is taking pictures. I like to record. I do video recordings when we're sitting in a group doing the CE-5 contact work. Unfortunately, I forgot my little adapter because I was supposed to go home after dinner, pick up the all of my gear, and I didn't. We just kind of winged it because we were running out of time. I wanted to sit through all of Grant's presentation and just things, and then dinner, and then it didn't work out. So I was missing the attachment to go on a tripod, so I had to hold my camera. So normally I have it on a tripod and I record the night sky quite a bit. This time I didn't have the opportunity to do that because I didn't have the tripod, so I had it handheld. And most of the time I was missing stuff. There was a lot of activity going on. But I did at one point, when that craft came in and was doing the little wobble thing, I did record it, and this is what the video is about. And I'm going to share that with everybody right now. I just put it together this morning. Is this in the way? Can everybody see this?
Yep.
Our pictures or not? Or just seeing my screen?
I don't see any
You don't
image
see
at
us.
all.
You don't see the Hollywood squares then.
No.
Okay, good.
No.
Good. All right.
Oh, we can, yeah, we're on the side. The gallery's on the side.
But you can still see my full screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. The only thing I want to make sure is that you have my video, so my audio. So just make sure that I have audio when I play this. Oh, I want to pause this really quick. It's just really interesting. So I looked at the timestamp on my camera, and it was 11:01 when I took this video. When I counted the chairs at the beginning of the night when they were all empty, there were 33 chairs that were set up, the wooden ones. That's not when people brought their own afterwards. There were 33 wooden chairs set up. So I'm just looking at the numbers. This was August 21, 2021 at 11:01 with 33 chairs. Just want to add that out here.
Yeah.
We can hear the audio.
Oh, there it is. Can you guys hear the audio?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
There it is, yeah. Yeah, it's got an odd trajectory. It's, yeah, signal around it. Oh, it just went into the atmosphere.
This is amazing, Marcel.
Thank you. So I just want to add that as soon as we started signaling the alleged craft, it went deep into space and disappeared. But what was fascinating is, and this happens all the time, when there's usually what we consider to be an ET craft, there's supporting craft in proximity to it. Or we have an anomalous shooting star or something. There's usually a lot of activity there. And this is what I caught here. And this is what's absolutely amazing. When you see this part here, I'm going to pause it. These three lights appear, if you can see these three here. So it's either three crafts or one large craft. So I'm just going to back it up a little bit. So here's the video. And boom, they flash in and flash out. And this is the still shot of it. This is something with two separate light sources, kind of like a bluish, a golden one and some red behind it. And then you have these two other points of light here. Unfortunately, because I did not have my tripod, there's a little bit of camera shake, so it's a little fuzzy. Normally, this raw video, I can kind of enhance it and take a better look. I'll play with it later on, but I just wanted to share this with you guys because I thought this thing was absolutely fascinating. So that's all I captured. I didn't take many pictures that night because I just do the
Well, you kind of blew us all out of the water there, Marcel.
Oh, good. If I can also add, excuse me, whenever we come together as a group and we have that connection, that coherency, and we use consciousness and open our hearts, we get contact all the time. Positive contact all the time. It is a rarity that we're going to have an evening where nothing happens, especially when we have a group of people that are so tuned in like we had that evening. So I just want to add that it'll happen all the time. As long as you open your heart, as Melinda was saying, incredible things happen. Okay, I'm going to play Grant's video. And Grant, if you want to talk about your video, and then I will do my video.
Okay, so you and I and Marcel, myself, and Jimmy Blanchette have done a couple of videos on my YouTube channel about this. This is a contact modality that Jimmy Blanchette has developed. There's actually 3 radios there. They're all tuned to 144.1. You can't see the other 2. Only one is lit up. That's Alex's radio, and it doesn't have an antenna on it. It's right beside. So now I turn the camera sideways, and they just light up, but they don't go into action. But they turn on the light for a couple seconds, then they go off. And it's the one without the antenna that's broadcasting. They should all be broadcasting because they're all on the same frequency. And this is a modality that Jimmy Blanchette has developed. And we thought he had sent a signal. And when I contacted him, he said, no, he hadn't sent a signal, that he had sent a signal at Mount Shasta where Marcel and Kim had just come from, and so that would carry over. He believed that would carry over. So it was the attachment is to the radio rather than sending out an actual signal. But the interesting thing is it was the radio without the antenna, and it was only one of the three radios that was broadcasting. And I apologize for turning the camera sideways halfway through. I didn't realize it would flip like that, but maybe you can add something, Marcel. There's you've done a lot of work on this in the last couple of years.
Yes. So basically, I forgot, I left my radio because I didn't have time to go back home, as I alluded to earlier. So I didn't have my radio. But no, did I have my radio there? I think Kim had her radio. Alex had a radio. Maybe I did have my radio there.
There was three radios there.
There was three, so I did have my radio. My apologies. So I didn't have a chance to compile a message. Usually when we're going to do a CE-5 event, we'll send, as I said during the presentation, we'll compile a message and we'll send it out. And we'll either send it out through an audio signal, or we'll use consciousness, because I think both of them work just the same. My son Alex, who was there, was using consciousness the entire day for communication. So he was actually using thought and consciousness through the radio and communicating. And his radio became so active, he actually took the antenna off, set it down within the group, and his radio out of the three was the only one that was receiving a signal during this event. And when his radio was super active was around the same time frame where we had latter part of the evening, where we had the crafts in the sky, and also we had the ground contact. I actually had to tell him to turn it down because it was a little disruptive because he had so much activity.
And it went on for quite a few minutes. I remember that was where I got this idea that we got to record this. I realized something significant was going on. I didn't know how many people had photographs, but we had that thing where you picked up the energy. Then I saw the photo. Then I started moving around, talking to people, and I saw the radios going, and I said, I better start recording this because it's apparent that there's a lot more going on than what you'd see at first glance, and that turned out to be true.
Yeah, and the signals that we get during our contact events, whether it's through the tri-field meter or through the radios, there's some intelligence to it because there's actual sequence. And as I said during the presentation, well, our tri-field meters will do sequence of 7, multiple times, or 12, or whatever it may be. The same thing is happening with the radios. When you're using consciousness to make the connection, they're responding through some type of sequence. We don't know what they are, but usually it's a rapid fire, almost like a Morse code. When we were in Mount Shasta, my son was really developing his communication using consciousness and was constantly meditating, talking to the ETs for some type of contact work in Mount Shasta. And what's fascinating is we were in the city, and I was getting some stuff from a CVS pharmacy before we went on the hill, and his radio started getting a message, but it wasn't the typical message that we have like Morse code. It was a heartbeat, unheard of. Out of all of the hundreds of recordings that we've done, or transmissions that were not recorded, we've never had that happen. Well, my brother was so fascinated, he was there as well, Mount Shasta, took his iPhone and went to record it. As soon as he hit the record button, it stopped. So a few minutes later, his radio is doing a heartbeat again. So my son takes his phone, hits the record button, boom, it stops. For some reason, it did not want to be recorded. He leaves his radio in the car, and I go to the pharmacy. I come back out. I open the back door to set my little bag down, and I hear his radio is going off, and it's doing the heartbeat. And I was so stealthy. I actually took my cell phone and was sneaking in. I hit the record button, and what the video you're going to see is me sneaking into the front seat to record the heartbeat.
This is good.
Make this bigger. Did you notice that as I approached and got closer, the heartbeat got more rapid?
Yeah.
And then
I could
as
tell
soon
you're
as I got over it, it stopped.
Yeah, I could tell you were coming. It was getting exciting.
I think it was. Never had that. Just an incredible experience. Thank you for reminding me to share that, because I think that's really profound.
Play that one more time now that people know what's going to happen. Then you can really catch it the second time.
Okay, I'll give you 1 sec.
And it does sound like a heartbeat. That's exactly what it sounds like.
And I'll turn this up a little bit. Is that fascinating?
That is fascinating.
All right, I think that's all I have for the presentation. So thank you for letting me present this, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Well, I would like to just remind everyone who's watching this that all of this happened 2 hours. It was a 2-hour CE-5. We were normally there 4 to 6 hours, and we just had to compress it. And boy, we really, really got so much evidence of what was happening. We got so much confirmation. And also it helped to me to bring the idea that consciousness is us, that the interaction is instantaneous, and that we all experienced it in real time. And to me, that was pretty amazing. Did anyone else have anything they would like to add?
I would like to add one thing. I mentioned there was a number of people that were thinking of coming, and I said to you near the end, I said, Franklin Grove could be the new Mount Shasta or Skinwalker Ranch. Everybody's gonna, once they see this video, they're gonna go, you see what happened in Illinois? We gotta go to that Illinois place. And it's like, it was quite amazing. It was one of the most, I've been on a couple of Mount Shasta events where things happen one after another, but this is as good as anything.
Well, if you come, you'll have to stay at the inn because the inn owns the property we were doing the CE-5 on. But you really, I'm serious. I think all of Illinois is a real UFO hotspot. So really, you're probably good any old where there. I'd like to thank everyone for just participating, for sticking with us during the planning of this, and for sharing your amazing stories and photographs. Honestly, because of you, everyone can watch this video and learn something new. I mean, we really brought some new things to bear. And I'd like to thank individually our speakers, Jeff, Kim, Marcel, and most of all, Grant and Sinead, because without you, we wouldn't have ever tried this. We wouldn't have known about it. We wouldn't have moved forward on anything like this. And you really changed the Worldwide Metaphysical Tribe for us. So thank you very much. Thank you all for participating.
Yeah, big thanks to you for being such an amazing organizer, and to your sisters and all your helpers. I mean, really, it was so beautifully organized and everybody was so well taken care of. I felt so spoiled, and I'm very grateful for that also, for you providing such a beautiful experience for everybody and for choosing that place. You know, it was you that chose that place so we could have that amazing experience there. So
I'm sure it chose me.
Well, whatever, you drew it towards you. So thank you for manifesting that for us to show up and just enjoy it all.
Well, thank you all. And hopefully we'll have something else to show. I know someone had asked in an earlier video if we would do a roundup of what happened on the weekend. If this doesn't cover that, I don't know. Oh, and Linda, oh my gosh, Linda, I forgot to thank you for appearing. Linda Wilkes also spoke. And again, bringing our consciousness to a higher place so that we could have the insane experiences we had in 2 hours during our CE-5. Thank you all. And I hope I see you all next year. And everybody watching, come on next year. Who knows what's going to happen?
Great.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone. Lovely to see you all. Take good care of yourselves. Stay well, stay positive, stay in the flow, and very much looking forward to seeing you next year as well. Thanks, Deb, for being such a terrific hostess for this event. Thanks to Marcel and Grant and everyone who showed their photographs and told their stories. Goodbye, everybody.